就在本周 Palantir 召开了 Q2 财报电话会议，里面不仅介绍了公司的未来发展方向，也从侧面展示了在 USA 行业的发展方向。整个电话会议的信息量满满，而 Palantir 的 CEO Alex 也展示了他个人非凡的 leadership， 对于从事 AI 企业的领导者可能会获得一些不一样的启发。
We rejected an idea of basically the way software is often done, useless product that becomes parasitic, you can't get rid of it, and you have 1,000 steak dinners, all convince you to buy something is useless, you can't get rid of it.
此次财报会议不仅精准回应了投资者关切，更向市场展示了其作为 AI to B to G 领域标杆企业的核心优势，通过客户口碑驱动的增长飞轮，实现 AI 技术在实际业务场景中的深度落地。
Perhaps the use case that I'm most excited about around Panasonic Energy, where we make electric vehicle batteries, actually being able to develop AI to train their workers to manage this exquisite high-end Japanese technology, where the background of the workers is casinos.
公司始终秉持价值创造优先的企业哲学，构建了从产品架构到组织文化的完整价值传导体系。
Be in the paper, in the economic section, in the consumer section, or in the government section of the paper. It could be 3 months. Well, as usual, I've been cautioned to be a little modest about our bombastic numbers, but it's honestly, there's no authentic way to be anything but have enormous pride and gratefulness about these extraordinary numbers. Now, when you're obviously looking at numbers, there's numbers and what do they mean? So if you take, I would say, the truly once-in-a-generation number of 93% growth in U.S. comm off of a large base, or even 53% growth in USG, which is astonishing, even though obviously it shows where the government is downstream from general trends in AI, or the 68% growth in the U.S., you still have to say, why are these numbers even more astonishing than they appear? Well, obviously, you would look at what is the meaning of the number, and the rule of 40 basically tells you the meaning of the number. And if that number is somewhere in the 50s, 60s, 70s, that's pretty baller. When it's the single most impressive number I think any enterprise software company's ever seen, there is something anomalous going on. And obviously, the prediction that all the attendees would be downstream from the value, so it would be chips and ontology, is being proven, not as a thesis, but as a reality. And then you would obviously ask, well, what is the base? We're now working off of a very large base, getting to we did our $1 billion, so it's a very significant run rate. But then I would say, if you look at a kind of more qualitative version of Palantir, we did this with no compromise in terms of what we believe. We still believe America is the leader of the free world, that the West is superior, that we have to fight for these values, that we should give American corporations and, most importantly, our government an unfair advantage. We've demonstrated in every area and arena of American life and international life that we do deliver an unfair advantage for our allies, our friends, and our compatriots. We have done this by creating a company where every single component is value accretive. There are almost no parasitic elements to this company. We have a small sales force. We have very little BS internally. We have a flat hierarchy. We have the most qualified, interesting people, heterodox in their beliefs. We have an orchestration engine that deploys for deployed engineers everywhere, a model that everyone despised and disdained until literally a quarter ago and thought would lead to a low multiple. Guess you're wrong. We have a series of products that are on the front line, most notably Ontology, but also Foundry and Maven. And this is a confluence. This is the perfect time for Palantir. And I would also say, at the risk of saying the obvious, this is a perfect time for a revolution in the United States of America. We are very, very bullish on America. We have some really crucial and important clients internationally, large clients, commercial clients in Europe, and also government clients outside of America that we're proud of. But this is an American revolution. It's being led by ontology and chips, and also to some extent large language model providers. We are also anomalously bullish on all aspects of American life, including and especially people in the blue collar. Sham and others are leading our charge to arm the working class blue collar workers with AI agency-enhancing skills. AI is an agency-enhancing revolution. Our numbers show that. We've seen on the front line in the United States government that people with less than a college education are creating a lot value and sometimes more value than people with a college education using our product. We're also going to reach out to labor leaders and help them organize ways that workers can earn AI-enhanced earnings. But in general, what you see in our numbers and the reason it's so successful is our clients and partners are downstream from our unit economics, and they want our unit economics. And we are teaching them ways in which to work, both cultural and with our products, that will allow them to get unit economics that look like 94, 93, 68, 53, respectively. Those numbers are astonishing, incredible, and we're planning to share them with our partners via exposing them to a way in which to work in an AI revolution so that they have the same kind of agency we do. I run around U.S. commercial telling corporate leaders, if you want to have your First Amendment rights to an opinion again, get our unit economics, and then you too can say things that are true in public like we do. It's very motivating to people and very motivating to us. So thank you for all of our supporters, and we should entertain questions. But this is a once-in-a-generation, truly anomalous quarter, and we're very proud, and we're sorry that our haters are disappointed, but there are many more quarters to be disappointed, and we're working on that too.
Thanks, Alex. We'll now turn to questions from our shareholders before opening up the call. We received a question from Christina who asks, beyond just using LLMs, how is Palantir making AI more useful for frontline workers and decision makers, not just data scientists?
Well, thanks, Christina. There's a surprising amount of doomerism that comes out of the ivory tower, the folks who are doing AI research. We spend all of our time at the front line with the factory worker in the fire cell, and the vibe could not be more different. What we observe is that AI is giving the American worker superpowers. Look at the nurses in the ICU who have more time to spend with their patients, less time munging around collecting the clinical notes to understand what care to deliver. Or the factory workers in the submarine industrial base who get back 3 days of quoting a part to actually spend time solving problems in production. And perhaps the use case that I'm most excited about around Panasonic Energy, where make electric vehicle batteries, actually being able to develop AI to train their workers to manage this exquisite high-end Japanese technology, where the background of the workers is casinos. And I think this is job expanding. It's empowering. To Alex's point, it's really pro-agency, pro-creativity. And that's a big reason why we've leaned into creating the American Tech Fellowship. Our lived experience is that some of those creative AI applications are coming from the blue-collar worker, the autodidact that has a little bit of self-taught knowledge, not the classically trained computer scientist, not just using AI, but more importantly, building AI applications that are changing their business. We want to find these people, we want to empower them, credential them, put them through the training, and unleash them on the American economy.
Thank you, Shyam. Our next question is from Dan with Wedbush. Dan, please turn on your camera, and then you'll receive a prompt to unmute your line.
Thank you. And I'm sorry also that the haters aren't satisfied, but look, can you just hit on, you're basically doing this without a direct sales force. So are you gonna go down that path, or it's just gonna be prudently going down, just given the type of growth you're seeing? Can you just walk through how you're thinking about that, just given such the massive success you're having, essentially with no direct sales force?
Yeah, for those of you who are new to Palantir, one of the many, many controversial, we were doomed to failure decisions we made was that we rejected an idea of basically the way software is often done, useless product that becomes parasitic, you can't get rid of it, and you have 1,000 steak dinners all convincing you to buy something is useless, you can't get rid of. And we believed that we would always be downstream from the value we create, and we would be able to capture that value. And if you look how this company is organized in government and commercial, it is all built around those ideas, including internal orchestration, including our flat hierarchy, including the products we deliver. Our primary sales force now, and I think likely in the future, are going to be current customers telling other customers, if you want this to work, bring them in and listen to how they orchestrate their culture inside your culture with their products. And it's not that we won't have direct salespeople, but we need, what's really helping us now is the increased credibility so that people use more of our product on day one, so that they're not using Foundry, the Foundry product of 3 years ago. They're really aspiring to what can be done with ontology and large language models and our FDE structure. And the disadvantage of this is, yeah, you don't have 10,000 people roaming around selling something they don't understand. But the advantage is we go from, once we come in the door, we come in with enormous credibility. So the person we're selling to believes we will make them a lot of money, save them expenses, or we will make their soldiers safer and more lethal. And they believe it because they've heard it from someone they trust, and or in the U.S. economy, there are a lot of people that go from one job to the next. So that somebody we meet in one place very likely will be somewhere else in a year or two. And the first call we get, in fact, I was just doing a customer call, partner call. We're very early with these people. The story was, hey, I got blocked at my last enterprise. They wouldn't let me buy Foundry. I've been following Foundry and now Ontology. First call was to us. And then when the meetings have shifted from, hey, we may not know how to use you, to very much tell us how we could create the kind of leverage you have. And that's why these numbers are going up at the top end and at the bottom end, because we're coming in with a different kind of credibility and leverage. So in the near future, the 10x revenue we are going to get in the U.S. over the next, in my view, next 5 years. But certainly what we forecasted for this year, it's really people saying, wow. I mean, and then you have, and then everyone talks about us on the earnings calls. So like when you see AIG or others saying, I believe I can dramatically change my business at a lower cost. You know, CEOs, CIOs, chief revenue officers, the whole group are like, get them on the phone. And this just makes our whole thing easier because we do not have time or interest in spending all the time we did in the past starting from complete ignorance. We're starting from a much higher level, and then the higher level allows us to ratchet up. So that's going to be what we're going to do. Obviously, we're going to continue. Samir and others and Cam have built a very small, nimble sales force. We have people who've been here for a long time doing very large deals. We have Ryan, who's doing this, organizing the contracts full time. But, I mean, I'll let Ryan speak to this. The leverage we have in these calls, I don't mean leverage just financial, the leverage to create the value that is upstream of what we get paid. We are very focused on the value creation and then collecting later.
Yeah, and what we're seeing is like the leadership of our customers are coming to us saying, we're seeing it start more quickly, expand more quickly, and expand deeper. And they're coming to us now at the beginning saying, how do we roll this across the whole enterprise?
And they're willing to be more experimental because, you know, we were at a big customer and it's like, look, we'll do this in this side of the contract. Why don't you let us do the rest and we'll just see the value, you know, see the value. We'll discuss it later. Yeah, and then this is yet another advantage America has that we underestimate. It's so plastic. If you compare America to, say, Germany, the way in which they build industry, they purchase software, they judge software, there's a pattern that is etched in stone there. But in America, people are very open to value creation, and they're under more pressure, and also people inside the company have more upside in the company. They have more equity. They want things that work. They don't want theory.
Thank you both. Our next question is from Mariana with Bank of America. Mariana, please turn on your camera, and then you'll receive a prompt to unmute your line.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Greetings.
I have two questions. One on the AI action plan that the White House put out a couple of weeks ago. You have been part of this process through recommendations. What excites you the most, and where do you think there is still work to do? And the second one is about talent, because to make sure that you are part of the dominant software of the future, you have to make sure that you keep attracting, retaining, and training the right talent. And we are seeing this, battle over talent in software companies right now. How you make sure that you are ahead of everyone else and keep attracting the right people?
On the first bit with the AI action plan, I think it's incredibly exciting. Essentially, we're taking all the brakes off. AI really is an empirical journey, and you have to roll up your sleeves and actually focus on the implementation of it. It's a clear recognition that having an American open AI tech stack that we all build our solutions on is absolutely crucial and important, and that perhaps we had been spending too much time hand-wringing and not enough time doing things. So not only Palantir, but I think the entire industry and the customers of the industry are really excited to get to work and to realize the value that we can have by doing this and the support and the subsequent follow-on investments that this implies. And on the talent side, I think the most important thing is giving people access to problems that matter. We've seen our retention be quite strong. There's really no other place. So you think about the number of production workflows that we have around AI. There's a set of folks who like to just do research, who like to just think about what is possible. But at this place, we are able to attract and retain and motivate people who actually want to bend the arc of history here, work on the problems that drive outcomes.
This is what Shyam's saying is so right. Part of the value of doing these calls is like if you are a highly talented person and would believe that the West is superior or at least tolerant of me telling you it every day, you will not find a place anywhere I've seen. And now in over 20 years, I've interacted with almost every agency in the West, many of the largest companies, many of the smaller companies. You will not find a place that is comparable on time of joining to full agency like Palantir. We have this, and by the way, we're ratcheting this up, like more internal orchestration. You come here, from the time you come here to the time you're working on something that literally will be in the paper, in the economic section, in the consumer section, or in the government section of the paper, it could be 3 months. There is nothing like that, A. And B, now that everyone knows this is by far the best credential in tech. If you come to Palantir, your career is set. And the other thing that is not exactly related that I really just love about that, if you did not go to school or you went to a school that's not that great or you went to Harvard or Princeton, Yale, once you come to Palantir, you're a Palantirian. No one cares about the other stuff. They don't care what your parents did. They don't care how rich your parents are. They don't care where you went to school. They care about, were you at Palantir? How are you viewed at Palantir? What did you work on at Palantir? And so we are making a new credential independent of class and background at Palantir. That is the most important credential in tech. And that's one of the two reasons, agency plus that we are doing very, very well on the talent acquisition and retention side.
Thank you both. Alex, as always, we have a lot of individual investors on the line. Is there anything you'd like to say before we end the call?
Maybe stop talking to all the haters. They're suffering. Don't tell them about how important the ride has been, how exciting it's been, how much you've enjoyed the ride, how much fun it is to write little emails to analysts that spent 20 years learning about software and have been wrong about every quarter. Maybe just don't talk to them. There's some suffering going on. But for the rest of us, we are enjoying this time and we're enjoying it with you. And our performance and your support of it is both important because you deserve it, and we are grateful that you gave it to us, especially, and I definitely have not forgotten, there would have been no DPO. We would not have gone from our low share price to now. We would not have many of the clients we have, and we wouldn't have some of the pride we have without you. But I would also say our ability to win while sticking by what we believe is important for the world, because we live in a world where people are purveying half-truths, partial truths. Palantir gets attacked just because we help make this country even better, because we support the values, because we defend it. And, us being able to win while having an opinion does have an impact on the world, if only because the people who think we are wrong or not good have to be a little jealous and suffer. And you know what? That's a good thing, too. So I'm very, very proud of this quarter. And by the way, obviously to all the Palantirians who made this happen, behind the scenes, we are just, to use Shyam's term, grinding. And every day and all the time on our most important things we're working on. And, we've had deployments here that because of their criticality, our people are working around the clock for half a month, around the clock on a cycle. And they're really proud to do that. And they have changed the arc of history. And your support inside the company and outside the company. And also, we're asking people to work in an environment when they come in here that is very different than anything they've ever worked on. You know, most of them come from university where they've just been engaged in platitudes. Now it's frontline where things matter, and we do things very differently than anyone else. And the fact that Palantirians have aligned to do this, to work as a phalanx in the service of what I view as a higher purpose, and I think many agree with me, is an enormous accomplishment. And, you know, I speak for all of us who work with these people. This is a very special environment, and I'm super proud to somehow ended up being your leader. So, thank you.
Thank you. That concludes Q&A for today's call.